Hey, before we jump into today's episode, I want to share something special with you. As 2024 draws to a close, have you started thinking about creating your business plan for 2025? Is it even on your radar? Well, it should be. 2025 is closer than you think. Planning your year is one of the most important activities you can do as a business owner because it helps you set the overall direction of your business and determine the actions you must take to achieve your goals. I know that the idea of planning your year can feel overwhelming and honestly hard to quote unquote find the time to do it, despite how badly you want to gain clarity, set goals, strategize, create a business plan, and determine the exact actionables to take your business to the next level. Well, good news. I want to help you take the guesswork out of how to plan your year and rid you of the overwhelm that often accompanies strategic business planning. That's why I've decided to host a VIP business planning event in Las Vegas, and you're invited.
Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas!
During this intimate 2-day event, November 2nd and 3rd, I will personally help you plan your entire year over a weekend. You'll get 2 days of strategic business planning with me, a business blueprint, strategic planning workbook, all meals including a special dinner and show on the world-famous Las Vegas Strip. You'll walk away with a clear, actionable plan for your business and a literal blueprint for 2025. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/business planning. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/business planning to get additional details and join me in Las Vegas.
You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber Delagarza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber Delagarza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 348, Supercharge your project management meetings. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. We're going to dive into the topic of relying on best practices for running efficient and effective project management meetings so you can take back control, lead your team, and elevate your client experience. Before we dive in, though, I wanted to let you know that if you are looking for coaching, support, training, advice, a partner who is going to partner with you to help you achieve your goals, then we should talk. I invite you to schedule a discovery call so that we can discuss partnering together to help you get unstuck, reduce stress, and determine a clear path to increase profits. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/coaching to learn more about my one-on-one peak performance coaching program. Again, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/coaching. And now, let's get to the straight talk. Today's topic is a game changer. If you feel overwhelmed, running from one fire to the next, are interrupted regularly from team members, holding on day after day as deadlines speed towards you, you feel disconnected from projects and the work that your team is doing or not doing, cash flow is up and down, you are dodging client emails, phone calls, and text messages because you don't have an update, then listen up. Running an efficient and effective project management meeting may change everything for your business. In fact, according to a Fortune study, 3 out of 4 meetings are totally ineffective, so a waste of everyone's time, energy, and your money. Only 30% of meetings are even considered productive. Unproductive meetings cost businesses billions of dollars each year. So why are meetings so unproductive and ineffective? According to a Harvard Business Review, no more than 27% of meetings in the US use a set agenda, even though using a detailed agenda has the potential to reduce meeting time by up to 80%, which would mean less time, energy, and money put into meetings, more time to work on your highest value activities, and more time for your team members to do their most important work too. Project management meetings are an important part of running a small business, but they must be planned and well executed. Today, I'm going to cover best practices for running effective project management meetings, expected outcomes from project management meetings. I'm going to share a proposed agenda that you can use and/or customize, identify post-meeting action items to get the most of your project management meetings. So let's dive in. We're going to start first with best practices for running an effective project management meeting. Who should be at the meetings? All team members who work on client projects. If you have a receptionist or a runner or any other team member that does not directly work on client projects, they do not need to attend. Who should be running the meetings? Ideally, your company or firm has a project manager, but not all small businesses have that position or role in their company. So perhaps your executive assistant can be of support because they're often very detail-oriented and have great organizational skills. Or perhaps it's the lead designer, lead architect, lead employee running these project management meetings. Or perhaps it's you, the business owner, which I do find to be quite often the person running project management meetings in a small business. If this is not your current skill set, then you either need to learn it or hire for it. Those are your only two options. The business needs this if your business has multiple client projects going on at one time. What days should your project management meetings be on? Ideally, they're going to be on Friday or Monday. And the reason is so that you can wrap up the week and plan for the next week. It becomes a really good way of bookending your week and setting the intentions. It's not a deal breaker if you have part-time employees and you have to do it on a Tuesday or Thursday. But if all possible, I would really shoot towards a Friday or Monday meeting. How long should the meetings run? Ideally, we want to get them into about an hour. And I want you to know that initially, your team meetings might require more time. But as you do this consistently, you should be able to streamline it within an hour or less because you'll be working through each project more effectively, more efficiently, and definitely more consistently. And therefore, there'll be less to review for each project. If you have a lot of projects, it may not make sense to review every project every single week. I have a client who is a divorce attorney. And while she doesn't necessarily call these project meetings, she does call these case update meetings. And she has so many cases that she divides her caseload alphabetically in half. And so she is reviewing with her team half the alphabet one week and then half the alphabet, the other half of the alphabet the next week. And this works for her because in law, things move a bit slower than, say, in construction or design projects. There is some flexibility here. I want you to do what works for you, but your meeting should not be 2 and 3 hours by any means. Next, be consistent with meetings. I want you to start and end on time. Stick to an agenda. Don't cancel unless you absolutely have to. In fact, I would say don't cancel it, but rather reschedule it. If it's a known day off because of vacation or holidays, I would say that you are planning to skip that week, and therefore at your last team project meeting, you weren't scheduling out for 1 week, but rather for 2 weeks because you had to skip a meeting. If it's due to an illness or a last minute emergency, then I would say reschedule it within the same week as close to the day that you normally have your project management meetings. Next, I want to review with you the meeting goals. So why are we doing this? What are our goals for having effective and efficient project management meetings? Well, number one, our goal is to get updates on project progress. We want tasks, time billed, orders, challenges, etc. being covered in these meetings. You want to have an opportunity to answer team members' questions. Identify any challenges that may be holding them up from doing their best work. Next, you want to be able to plan next steps. So this meeting is going to allow you to delegate tasks, estimate how much time resources are needed to complete the tasks. And lastly, the meeting goals are to proactively update the client with a summary of what has happened and what is going to happen next. When you have these effective project management meetings, there are some outcomes that you can expect. Number one, increased efficiency. Because you'll be batching, planning, decision-making, and delegating all together. Next, reduced interruptions. You will reduce the interruptions throughout the week because you will have already been updated, answered many of your team members' questions, addressed their concerns, and communicated with clients proactively. Next, you'll hit project milestones and deadlines because team members are held accountable at meetings for their assigned tasks. You'll have better client communication and delivery of services. You'll decrease reactive client communication because they will have been updated on the status of their project. You'll have improved time management for the entire team because they'll know exactly what they need to be working on and when. Enhanced focus with weekly goals. Strengthened accountability for both you, the business owner, and team members. You'll keep projects on budget. You'll have accurate forecasting of cash flow. And it will help you keep accurate and current financials. That is a lot of positive outcomes that are expected from one meeting, but it's true. Increased efficiency, reduced interruptions, hitting project milestones and deadlines, better client communication, decreased reactive client communication, improved time management, enhanced focus, strengthened accountability, keeping your projects on budget, accurate cash flow forecasting, and keeping accurate and current financials. Who wouldn't want more of that in their business? And honestly, it is on the other side of committing to these meetings on a regular basis. So next, what I want to share with you is a proposed agenda. Now, this agenda is proposed. You can take it and try it immediately in your business, or you can take it and customize it, add to it, tweak it, and make it work for you, your business, your team, and your business model. Let's start off with, at each project meeting, the goal is to review each project one by one. And you're going to be using your project management system to make updates as you go. Then you'll have one person taking notes and making the updates. This should not be the same person running the meeting. For each project, go through the following steps for each project and then move on to the next. and the next, and so forth. So the steps I'm going to share with you now are for each project, and then you multiply that by how many projects you're reviewing. First, review completed tasks from the previous week. What got done? Update what has been done, and by doing this, it's going to increase accountability for you and your team. 2, review any outstanding tasks. Discuss tasks planned but not completed. Update your project management system accordingly and take this into consideration when you're making your priorities for the following week. Next, determine if there's any changes in the project. Are there any updates that need to be communicated? Deadline dates, milestone dates, install dates? Did the scope of the project change? Were there any decisions the client made or your team has made that needs to update? Are there change orders? You can review order status. If you're ordering products for your clients or supplies to facilitate the work of your team, get an order update. If on track, no comments are needed, but move through them quickly and address anything that may hold up a project. Next, review and update current billed hours by team members. Now, this is if applicable, but I do need to say that nearly always billed hours are applicable, even if you do packaged rates, even if you're not charging the client hourly. I believe that all hours should be tracked for when they are being allocated towards a specific project. This is a great time to review total hours billed towards a project and assess the balance of hours either estimated or needing to be billed. Next, client billing status. This helps with cash flow. Are the clients billed? Did they pay? Is there anything outstanding? Are they late on their invoices? Do you need to make another request for payment? What is the current billing status based on the work that has been completed? Next, looking at the next week's focus for each project. So this is forecasting. This is based on pacing and the project milestones and deadlines. This is where you may determine you are not focusing on this particular project and directing your resources to others. So this is twofold. You're setting your intention of what exactly is going to be focused on for the following week with this project, or you're identifying that there's a hold on the project and your time and resources of you and your team are going to be spent on another project. Next, now that you've identified what the focus is for each project next week, I want you to specifically delegate tasks. This means assigning specific tasks to the team and yourself with estimated hours to complete. Try forecasting for the week. Adjustments will be made daily as new information comes in, but we really want to get a lay of the land of what you and your team are going to be focusing on for the following week. By giving estimated hours to complete specific tasks, this ensures that you're properly communicating with your team, especially if you are trying to come in under a certain amount of time for a project, or simply being more profitable because they're not spinning their wheels, working too much time on any given task. Fully delegating a task is telling them what is the outcome, what is it that you want them to complete. Identifying what the priority is, and if known, giving them some guidelines to how long they should be spending on completing that task. Lastly, schedule one-on-one meetings with team members as needed for the following week. In this update meeting, you might find that a team member needs additional support, coaching, training, or perhaps there's an opportunity to collaborate and work on tasks together. Who needs more attention from you? The business owner, based on the goal and clarity of what needs to get accomplished to move this project forward and closer to the finish line. I'm going to review this briefly one more time, starting from the top. For each of the projects, you are going to be covering the following. You're going to review completed tasks from the previous week. This helps you, the business owner, get an update and understand what is actually getting done. You're going to review any outstanding tasks, these tasks that got rolled over, people ran out of time, new priorities came in. You definitely need to understand what is still outstanding. Next, determine any changes in the project. This is so helpful because oftentimes your project manager or one person on the team, or maybe it is you, has information that is actually helpful to the rest of the team that is touching these projects. So this is the opportunity to share that information and update anything that may be pertinent to the team. Next, review and update current billed hours. Next, ensure the client billing status is current. Next, set the intentions for next week's focus with regards to this specific project. Once you have that focus, you can then determine the exact next action steps to be delegated to each team member. And lastly, identifying where there's opportunities to support team members, to coach them, to provide additional resources so that everybody on the team has what they need to show up their best. And lastly, I wanted to share with you post-meeting action items for the team. These are some best practices, ideas that I have found that ensures that this effective meeting actually impacts how everybody shows up the rest of the week. My first action item that I'd like to share is that the note taker, the identified note taker at this meeting, quickly reviews, edits, and distributes the notes in the same day to all team members that these notes may affect. Next, schedule a power hour. Now, I've talked a lot about power hours in previous episodes. If you did not hear that, go ahead and search power hour in our podcast library. But essentially, you are carving out a specific time. It could be an hour, it could be 90 minutes, where you are batching quick tasks that can be knocked out to allow you to focus on these bigger tasks and projects throughout the rest of the week. Oftentimes in these meetings where it falls off the rails is that when you're doing your review, it's like, oh, I need to call so-and-so, or we didn't email them back on this response, or these little things pop up. And because we don't have a place on our schedule to do those little things that are now remembered, they often derail the meeting of, let me just do it now. And now you are certainly off agenda, certainly going to not make it within the hour time frame. So if you have a power hour blocked after these team meetings, everyone can go back to their desk, wipe out as many of those small pesky tasks off their task list so they can jump into some deep work throughout the rest of the week. Next, based on what has been assigned and delegated to yourself and your team, I highly advise that they go back to their desk and block off blocks of focused, distraction-free time where they're going to be batching and chunking out these bigger, more important tasks that came up during the meeting. Next, send updated communication to clients the same day. So your note taker and whomever you determine is responsible for sending updates to the client, meaning this is what happened last week, this is what is planned to happen this week, and anything else you find pertinent in that update should go out the same day because we don't want to touch the same project multiple times. And this is a pro tip. I have heard people do project meetings on Mondays and client updates on Fridays. And I always recommend that project update meetings and client updates are the same day so that you are touching each project and getting an update once. And lastly, be sure that you and your team are using the tools and technology such as your project and task management system as their master task list. That is what got updated in the project management meeting. That is what's determining their tasks. That is the most effective way for your team to go throughout the week, is to keep referring back to your project and task management program. Supercharging your project management meetings takes time, effort, planning, and relying on best practices instead of just winging it. But it is so worth it. The strength of your team, the quality of their work, your client satisfaction, and your bottom line will reflect the work you put into making your meetings efficient and, more importantly, effective. As stated earlier, running project management meetings that are efficient and effective can change everything for you and your business. Don't leave it to chance and waste everyone's time, energy, and your money running project management meetings without a solid plan for what you're going to talk about and accomplish. Utilize best practices for meetings, follow a structured agenda, and you'll get the outcomes you desire time and time again. You'll be able to stay in control of your projects, lead your team successfully, and elevate your client's experience. I have loved having you listen to this episode of the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. And I sure hope you found this episode about project management meetings to be valuable and actionable. I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So my call to action to you is this. If you don't currently have project management meetings, commit to having them. Get them on the calendar. Re-listen to this episode. Draft your own agenda based on my recommendations. If you already have project management meetings, was there anything that you learned in today's episode that you can implement, tweak, add, take away from the meetings to make them more effective and more efficient? If you enjoyed today's episode and having this very strategic and actionable advice, the reason I was able to do this episode is because this is the exact support that I offer my coaching clients. If you would like this type of support, someone to come alongside you, customize it, troubleshoot it, answer questions and challenges that you may have when you're applying these strategies that you hear here on my podcast and maybe other podcasts, that you want a partner who can help you navigate this so that you can reach your goals, then you may be ready for a business coach. To find out more about my one-on-one peak performance coaching and to schedule a discovery call, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/coaching. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/coaching. And if you are new here and this is your first time tuning in, I want to welcome you to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast and invite you to hit subscribe so you don't miss another episode. If you've enjoyed today's episode and you found it valuable and you know that you have a small business owner friend who would find it just as valuable, be sure to share it with them today. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.